Okay. Good morning, everybody. Is it morning? Afternoon? Afternoon. Fantastic. Are you sure you're happy to be here? Okay. So we're going to be a little bit interactive because at the end of, at a certain point, I like to get your feedback. Is that good enough? Okay. So probably let me start. Oh, the time is cut short. I thought we have 30 minutes. All right, so let me start with a little bit into my life. I finally wrote a book. That's way, talking about getting your life or your pain to become a strategy for others to make a transformational change. Part of the things I wrote about, let me talk about something that happened to me. I began to have an idea about death. I embraced it. I loved it. And I was writing encrypted messages on my WhatsApp status. The things I put on Facebook, Instagram, they're always different to what I put on my WhatsApp status. WhatsApp status, I get crazy because it's personal. I have over 1,000 people I blocked that can't watch my WhatsApp status because I go very intimate. I say all kinds of crazy things. And a friend of mine reached out to me and said, wait, Gwen, what are you talking about? You're talking about death. I said, yes. You want to die? I said, and I told him how glorious it is. I don't have to think about what it means to make it in life. My vision. Do you know since when I've been writing proposals? Since I was, only God knew, And I said to myself, I'm tired. And the guy said to me, what happens if you die? What about your brother? Won't he miss you? Your brother, you talked about him a lot. I said, don't worry, time will heal. And besides, do you know what the most fantastic thing about it is? When I die, I will now become a problem to the people to bury. The guy was shocked. And the way I was talking about death, I went on and on. He was like, are we talking about dying, death? Now, some of us have been on this. Some of us, we don't see a reason to wake up every day. Depression plagues us down every day. And so this panelists, this host of people, they are here to help you to make sense. And hopefully, Coach Jola-Grace Emmanuel will be able to pick you up at that point to show you the path. All right? Can I get a yes, yes? So, let me start with you, Mike Abdul. Yes, serious. You've been in the news for some not so good, great stories and all of that. And I was asking you while we sat down, had there been times in your life? I knew you were once married. This is not an able story. We all knew. And I was just wondering what happened to, if you had taken a different route, would we have had this Mike Abdul that is all seated here today? Tell us a little bit of your transformation.
Okay. Okay. Didn't see that coming, but okay. Over time I've learned to honestly simplify things. I I don't think anything is really that big. So when anything happens, however big it seems, it's not me that is big too. It's the people that is big too. So that the ones making it big. So I have to maintain who I am what is, I'm the one that knows everything. I'm the only one that knows everything. Nobody knows anything. I'm the only person that knows everything. So, you know, I've also taught myself to achieve small things. I used to have a problem with achieving big things. I used to think greatness was about doing big things until I discovered that small things in themselves are amazing. You can keep chasing the big things, but the small things that matter, you drop them behind. So I stopped looking for the big ones. And a lot of times the reason why we want to achieve the big ones is so that people can clap. I told myself, I want to clap for myself. I don't need anybody clapping.
I'm clapping for you too.
So I started taking it big things and small things one at a time. Every small thing I achieve, I celebrate. And I move on to do the next thing. And I had to, thank you very much, reinvent. Reinvent. You hear me? All right, so I had to change from doing things because people do those things to doing things because there's a purpose for doing it. So every song I write, no matter how small it looks like, is a songwriter. I attach purpose to it. I turn every song to a product, trying to solve a problem. So I know my target audience. I know what the problem is. Then I know what the solution is. So I craft it all in my song and present it. That's why when I do a song that sound like street song, and people come at me, before you know it, I'm recording another one. You know, because I know the target audience. I know the problem, and I have the solution. I have the product, and I release the product. So I think that's basically how I have approached life. I've taken it by achieving the small things, and it's been amazing.
Right. Okay. So let me come to you, Pastor Dami. I've known you since you were like, well, something like that. Your life since then and now, I would say it just looks like you're well put together. Even when I knew you back then, you were so well. If you had known him, I think you were like in your 20s or thereabout. He came to my church. He even donated, and he was, like prim and proper. Please, he had it all, put it together. Looking at your life, I would say that you don't get problem. You had it all figured out, like strategize. Were there moments in all of this journey that you questioned maybe life, and then you had to reinvent yourself? Were there? Tell us about those moments. And I know you shared some, a bit of the strategy. Tell us how you got out.
Very good question. Just yesterday, one of my friends saw me and said, "You look like just came out of a magazine." Talking about the put together and stuff. So I think that I owe that to God and my parents, strong foundations, and it's very important. I'll touch on it. I hope I can on the panel. Right. So there are a number of different challenges I've had, and one of them, it may seem minor, and I usually joke about it when I do like long speeches and talk about that, but for me, it was a very pivotal point of mastery, how to master embarrassment and how to overcome shame. And what happened was when I was growing, I was very gifted. I had like a very special talent. Most people don't have it. I could make the rain. I could make it rain, especially at night. It's just a very, very special skill. My name was not John, but I was a Baptist of sorts. And yeah, Noah might have needed an ark. You get it? Yeah. So now, most people go through that. I mean, if you're 6, 7, but for me, I had like an extension of my abilities in that department. It was like, I got a BSc. So, now, where's till I got to secondary school, it was boarding house, and the senior students would be on the lower bunk. Yeah, I'm telling you, this thing helped my life. That's a people say Peter is like you're not ashamed of anything. You can talk anyway. I already dealt with shame before I was. You understand?
And you know, let me just come in right there. You see, when we talk about childhood trauma,
Yes,
it starts from there.
absolutely, absolutely. So I learned certain life skills very early, and that's why I'm saying it may seem light, but when you have to wake up to hear a senior student shouting at why you're pouring water on him, but the water tastes salty. Should I continue? Can you handle it? I get really deep on that. Right. When that happens, and like what a shock. And you basically don't need an atlas now because you've mastered the art of drawing maps on your mattress. And you have to carry the mattress and take it to the quadrangle. And people can't reconcile the guy scoring straight A's with the guy cussing many A's, all A na A, right? So at that point, I had to realize immediately. I understood that value in one area, or rather problems in one area, don't mean you lack value in every area. Yeah. A challenge in one area does not mean you lack value in other areas. Because only people that were I was in Blue House, it was called Niger House. Only people in Blue House knew what was going on. But outside, I was a smart person. I was representing the school. I was, top of my class and all of that kind of thing. So I began to understand in life that perspective is oftentimes more important than the problem. And so you get to learn a lot about relating with people. People relate with you on the level of value, except you present the problem to impede their vision of the value you have.
Right.
And that's what Mike was speaking about. It's big to them, it's not big to me. I said, Mike, you understand? So when people are shouting about certain things, you're investing in a product that is now obsolete in my life. I'm no longer there. I've moved away from there. So I became a family prayer point, and eventually, the Lord has answered my prayer. I'll sing praises to him. Eventually that happened, but there were many learning points for me. And part of it was no matter how much I made the rain, it could not dissolve my potential. Yeah. If I held my head high, if I did well in certain areas, if I offered value, nobody cares that Steve Jobs doesn't know how to dance Makosa or Etigi or anything like that. Nobody cares that Oprah Winfrey is not a good chef. That's not the value to the world. So I went through that. Another issue was when I failed for the first time. Was it Mourinho that told Wenger that he was used to failure? Right, way back. So I was not used to failure. I always had it good, right? I always had it good academically. So, but I wanted to study architecture, but my parents said like, architecture. Nigeria is hard. In your middle, don't call it. In other words, what it means is you want to study architecture. People don't really have money to be building houses, so where will you find jobs? So they were of the opinion that you should study something engineering and stuff. So I obliged them because I thought I was going to go to school in the UK for the second year. But God locked me down. I became a pastor on campus. Long story. So I started engineering, but alas, the engine was not hearing. And I failed for the very first time. I was shocked. It was like electricity. Like, I didn't know what failure was. And the kind of failure I failed, it was like the very special kind of failure. Special in that, in my department, if you fail certain courses, guaranteed extra year, you're already sure you don't need to discuss it. So I failed semester another course as one of the lecturer. I cannot forget to discuss CHG 203. I got the O in the 203, right? Not O, I scored 38, 2 marks short of 40, but it was still failure. Yeah, it's more painful that way. 2 marks, right? So anyway, when that happened, it meant that I had to write certain courses with my juniors.
Right.
So you can imagine that I was preaching at fellowship on Tuesday, then writing exams. Pastor, you're here. So those kind of things have a way of building your capacity if you engage them. What many people do is that they hide from the storm so they don't build capacity through it. Yeah. The eagle builds capacity, strengthens its wings by engaging the tides of failure, the tides of opposition. So I learned all those things early. And so what it then did for me was to realize that life was not a free ride. So what I do, let me tell you what I do, what I've been doing from that time you saw me, and I was like, I anticipate problems. As in, it's very difficult for me to get into something I didn't envisage. So that's when I speak about strategy. I sit down, I go like, if I wanted to destroy me, what would I do? And I'll think about all the things that could destroy me. I know for some of this is very extra, but if you want to live long in the land of the living, you need to think like that sometimes. And then you make plans prayerfully against that. So I've moved from defensive to offensive, right? And I think it goes a long way in, number one, also developing empathy. I needed to fail to realize that. So, for example, I didn't know about divorce. I didn't know about separation because my parents had a very fantastic marriage.
Right.
Until I go to secondary school, like my parents don't live in the same house. Like, where do they live? Okay, people are so rich. You have different houses. So I know they're fighting. Right. So now I understand human failure. I understand human problems. I understand shame. I understand guilt. I understand not feeling good enough. I understand all of that. I also understand being the underdog because in terms of leadership, he knew me from campus. In terms of leadership, my physical size, I'm very portable, not the African Spider-Man portable.
Right.
But if you're to look at me physically, most people are surprised about what comes out of me. Like people tell me that this voice sounds like it's coming from a bigger body. I hear that all the time, right? So I understand humanity to a large extent, maybe not all of it. And so it makes me more effective in conversing with people, guiding people, leading people, because I've grown through failure. So I can, like, I don't know how many things we can tell. And I'll be like, is the end. No, I can handle, I've built tenacity and capacity to handle a multitude of.
Apparently. Let me, from what what you've talked about, let me take it to you, Pastor David, to say he's talked a little bit about his mindset shifting. We all go through some of this traumatic situation, especially from our childhood, that could have, been something that would have deflated him till adulthood. And then he would have felt that there is a generational curse or someone is somewhere that has planted that let it rain spirit of shame, and wherever it goes, I have ladies in their 40s. They don't sleep over anywhere because they will let it rain.
Yeah. Somebody walked up to me after I shared my story. She was in her 30s and shared that with me.
So how do you make a mental and mindset shift to say, you know what, I've been told I'm ugly, I know fine, that's why I'm not married. I've been told, I'm the worst behaved person, that's why I'm not married, that's why my marriage broke. I've been told I can never do well. There are so many of us, we've been told all kinds of things, but how do we make that mindset shift through all of those adversity so that we don't remain where we used to be?
Thank you very much. I would say just listening to you both, actually, it reminds me a lot of my growing up, and some of the things I've had to face as well. For me, at some point, I was even doubting if I was a legitimate child of my parents. And I was the first, I mean, I look at my siblings, I'm the slimmest, I'm the darkest. I'm just different. And so I went to 6 primary schools, 3 secondary schools. I was like the guinea pig of the family because my parents, within what they had, they wanted the best for us. So they figured the first, you go try it out first. If it works, others will follow. If it doesn't work, we'll move you till we find someone.
You were the template for success.
Basically, and several times I would wish I had an elder sister, because I have to be the one to sacrifice. I have to be the one that is there for everyone. And I didn't realize over the years that it started affecting me. It affected my demeanor, it affected the way I spoke, my self-confidence. And, when we speak about people taking their lives, in Nigeria, we always trivialize it that what's that like? I mean, you've not eaten, you're talking about taking your life. But it's real, you know, it's real. People go through stuff. And I had to go through my share of challenges, if I can put it like that. I think a defining moment of my life was, so I had the privilege to study after jammed me once. I moved to the UK to do my A levels, and I wrote so many things. I mean, yes, I still had that. What would I call it now? That like family values that kept me there because that was a completely different space. But I wrote so many things. I was tired. I was frustrated. I wanted to change, and my dad happened to visit. And where I wrote these secret things, I left it on the bed, and he just saw it before I came. And by the time I got back home and I saw that he had seen it, I felt I am finished. But amazingly, he sat me down and we started speaking like son to father. And I think that's another thing that people struggle with because they don't have that relationship with their father. One of the reasons why I find it easy to talk to God is because I see him as my father. I don't see Thor holding an hammer, willing to crack and destroy me at any. It's just my dad. You know, so when you spoke about university, for instance, I would be on the phone with my dad and I would say, "Oh, love you, dad." And my friends would look at me like, "Are you okay?" Like something that was abnormal. Even though it was at different levels, I was always broke in school because I would only call them maybe once in a month or maybe. But my sisters called every single day, and they always had money. I didn't realize that something was going on because of communication. So there are levels to it. Anyway, back to what I'm saying. I think over the years, I've had to reinvent myself, rebuild myself, check my relationship as well. Because like I was saying the other day, that you look like what you look at. It has a way of influencing you unconsciously. You just realize that, I mean, nobody goes to school to know how to swear, to use curse words. There's no CAD or
There's no curse outline.
Exactly, nothing like that. You just pick it along the way, you know, by relationship, by association. When I speak to young people, I would always tell them, write the 7 closest people to you, not your dad, mom, sister. I mean, people that you consciously picked. And when they are done writing, I tell them to look at it and I tell them, that's the picture of your future. Oftentimes you'll see them, I cancel you in Jesus' name, God forbid. But that's the truth. That's the truth. So we smell like the company we keep. If you desire something different in your life, it starts from checking your relationships, your association. Check what you feed on. Yorubas will say, which means it is what the bird feeds on that it flies with. And the Bible says, out of the abundance of the heart. It is not magic.
Pastor David, let me come in right there because I want to throw it open to the people. So I live in around Alpha Beach, where there are commercial sex workers. That's where my parents are, and then that's where I was born. Weed is nothing. We use weed to cook things. It's just the life we live. These are my parents. How do I make my life different? How, Pastor David? In just maybe 1 minute, so I can give people opportunity.
So I think the first thing is, being exposed to light. Sorry to drag you back. So my parents, for example, have a good enough marriage, but where they came from was terrible. The examples around them, horrible. But they decided that they had to be different. So you can be in an environment. I mean, for example, we are called the ambassadors of Christ. We live here, but in a terrible world. But that doesn't mean that where we are coming from is not good. So you can choose to be different even within your location. So it could be shutting out the people that influence you around, but looking out or finding something that can influence you outside your physical environment. So I think that's important.
Fantastic. Is there someone here? This is not actually part of it, but I just feel let me not ask questions that I want to ask. Is there someone, probably you're going through a season of darkness, you need clarity. Can we start by giving you a chance to ask your question? Is there someone like that? Someone. You need to breathe. You need to understand the pathway. Anybody? And then we give you a mic. You have a question. Please come. When someone asks you to come, when I asked you to come, I saw your reaction. This is what it does for you, for me, anytime. You are in the spotlight and the glory of God is on you right now. So when, never be afraid, all right? Even with your voice shaking, just do it. Please, can I have a mic? Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Okay. So my question goes this way. Maybe you are in a position where you're feeling like you're failing. Maybe I'm into this particular skill and I feel like people around me are doing much more better than me. Like, what do you think? Like, how can we encourage someone going through this kind of situation?
Let me also ask, how many skills has the person learned and failed?
Like three.
Yours, 3.
Yeah.
Oh, Marshall. See, I've done graphic artists. I've managed stations. I've done voiceover. In fact, there is one church. They paid me 5,000 naira many years ago. I won't mention. They are a very big church. You'll be shocked if I mention. And they still play my jingle till today. 5,000 naira. And so many other things. So don't worry. So who wants to help? Mike, there were times, did you ever release a song where they say no blow or no blow, like you wanted it to blow?
Yeah.
Could you help her? I mean, help speak to what she said.
Yeah, a lot of times, I've done a lot of, the one we blow, 9 people go know you by, so they don't know that you've done so much that didn't happen. Same efforts and all that. And it just didn't happen. It will look like, what am I not getting right? And then you study the people that you believe are doing better than you, study what they do, and then you apply the same things, and sometimes it looks like you are still not getting there. Apparently, I discovered that we are all going to be different. We're all going to be different. See, once you are chasing what some people are chasing, see, before they started chasing, they studied what they wanted to chase, understood it, and started chasing it. Now they become successful in it, and then you just say, see how they chase that, Make me say follow, chase. Or you have not studied the same thing. You need to know your strengths, you need to know your weaknesses. Pastor, I like what you said. That I failed in some places doesn't mean that I don't have strength in other places. I'm doing well in other places. I'm so doing well in other places. So I think you have to know that. You have to know what you carry. You have to know your strengths. Know your just know what you're about, and then be deliberate about it. Go for it. I'll say this to you, if this helps you. Be so good at what you do that it cannot be ignored. That one thing where you sabi becomes so good, they're not going to ignore you.
Right.
Yeah.
Pastor Dami.
I think I just want to add something to it. Thanks, Mike, for talking in that direction. Albert Einstein said it this way, that if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will spend the rest of its life feeling like a failure. Fish were not designed to climb trees, right? They were not. It just doesn't happen. So I run some online courses. I have some online courses. One of them is called Genius Academy, and one of them is Finding Your Genius. There are actually 9 kinds of intelligences, right? But school generally looks at just 2. That's arithmetic and linguistic. So you want to find out what kind of intelligence do I have? There's some people who are kinesthetically intelligent, like drummers, the way they coordinate their hands with their brains, or like dancers. They don't know it's an intelligence, but it is. Because there's some people who are super smart, but they cannot dance to even save their lives. Even after death, they will not dance. Their ghosts cannot dance, right? So find out, am I a fish trying to fly? Am I a bird trying to swim? Because if there is a ground gift mismatch, you will keep feeling frustrated.
Right, right. Did that help? Any other person? One last person, please. Oh, two. There is no time, but let's take just one more. I need to round off. So sorry, lady.
For me, I've been separated from my husband for like 3 years now, and I try to build myself, and I try to be the mother and the father at the same time. But right now, I feel sorry for my children. At times, it brings me down because at times, they go to school and other kids are talking about their father. My dad did this, my dad did that. And also at times, they just mention their dad. Mom, where is daddy? Because their dad has not, like, he's not checking on them. It's not as if he comes to see them.
He's not present.
Yeah, he's not present,
Okay.
yes, in their life. So at times it affects me. And me, I've already gone past that. But, as children, they'll always bring it up. And whenever they do that, it really brings me down. Like, it brings me down.
Okay, so let's put a perspective to it. What it will be, we all got that, right? What will be the transforming question you like to ask?
Okay, my question now is how can I cope with that? Because the children will always mention things about their father. How can I cope? I have 2 kids. So how can I cope with that? They are doing well. When you see them, you don't even believe that. They are doing well.
Have you also tried therapy? Have you tried therapy?
None.
See Coach Jola-Grace afterwards. Please do. All right. Kindly. Thank you. But speak to that and then we'll wrap up. Let me have you, Pastor David.
Thank you for that question. I'll be honest with you. It's sometimes difficult to ignore the role of a father.
Trauma
in the
recovery
relationship
coach.
or the life of the kids. Both. Sometimes the father is the hard one and the mom tries to pamper, and sometimes we flip it, But first I must say, well done. You're doing a good job. No marriage is easy.
That's be compassionate to yourself.
Yeah, you're doing very well. I mean, no marriage, like I said, is easy. No matter how perfect it looks, people go through a lot. So now that you're here, I think there are a few things you might need to consider. For instance, do you have a male model around that you want to introduce to the kids that you feel, it can't take that role completely, but at least just a little guidance. It could also mean you finding a middle ground between your former partner, or I'm not sure if you've divorced, but exactly. Find, if you can be reasonable with him, to play a better role in the relationship. If there's a way to make up, if there's a way, like
Reinvented ourselves from a place of pain, low self-esteem, depression, and suicide ideation to a place of confidence,
you have to also
wholeness,
find a way
fearlessness,
to
and purposefulness.
capacity to
After
handle that
years of
situation.
domestic violence and
So
abuse,
this
she
has
infuses
happened to
faith.
me. How do I move on? What do I need to add to myself to take right now? No, I'm not saying you've not moved on with your partner. I'm not talking about the kids now. You need to be both dad and mom to them. What do I need? What
By
skill
helping
sets do
them
I
heal
need
from
to
traumatic
make that easy
experiences,
transition?
understand relationship
Can I
dynamics,
quickly just
develop
say
healthy
that
self-esteem
managing children's
and
emotion is a
self-confidence
skill.
through public speaking, coaching,
Do you
and
understand?
therapy,
That's why
counseling,
I'm not just
mentoring,
looking at-
group therapy, and
I'm not
master
just
classes.
looking at you
Ladies
telling
and
them
gentlemen,
daddy's not
let us
around.
welcome the
Maybe
conference
fabricate
host
one lie,
and convener,
just to make it look
Jola-Grace Emmanuel.
But helping them to come to terms with their emotion and to grow with it and be stronger It is a skill. And that's why I'm saying therapy. For the last, before we go, let me start with you, Pastor David, and then we'll come this way. Last word, as we call it, to wrap on this panel.
All right. I would say hope. Hope. I love that scripture in, I think, Job 14:7-9 or so. I don't think anyone in the Bible, more than Job, went through depression. I mean, you had it all, then you lost it all, just like that. And it pretty much
Jola-Grace Emmanuel. Jola-Grace Emmanuel is a certified life and trauma recovery coach. She is
again. It doesn't matter what you're going through. It doesn't matter how difficult it is. Don't even consider ending it all. Don't think that is it. People are going through stuff. They just don't speak up.
Right.
And don't let social media deceive you. Right. I would always say people post beautiful stuff at one corner of their house, but you don't see the mess going on everywhere. All right. And where possible, find people that you can connect with that will help you up. Make sure you spend time exercising where possible. Don't be depressed. Don't even give room for it. There's greatness ahead of you.
Fantastic. Pastor Dami.
So don't leave room for it, because accommodation in Lagos is very expensive. So, if you're getting an extra room just for depression, imagine, instead of your 3 bedrooms, you've got 4 bedrooms for depression. All right, I'm just joking. I hope you know. So once we were speaking, I was thinking about the fact that even if we were to check behind the screen now, you're going to see cables behind the screen. You're going to see you're going to see all those yellow, red, green, tiny little bits. So behind the scenes, there are always issues. People just develop the skill and managing them well. Every billionaire has issues. If money could fix marriages, Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos would still be happily married, right? So there are always issues in life. We're living in a chaotic ecosystem because of man's sense of independence. You can control what you're going to do, but you don't know what the other person is going to do. When I started learning to drive, one of the things that the driver teacher said is, drive as if everybody on the road is crazy, right?
To as the soul doctor, she helps individuals attain high levels of emotional stability and intelligence. She also helps organizations attain a high level of profitability.
Everybody's bad, but people have bad moments. And sometimes somebody's bad moments could lead to a lifelong tragedy in your life. So one of the things I try to do is to create margins in my life, not only for myself, but to accommodate the potential for other people's weaknesses. I expect people to fail, not from a depressive, cynical, skeptical perspective.
Jola-Grace Emmanuel.
For empathy and grace, that people can have bad days. Somebody might just slap you accidentally, but then I can just knock them accidentally too. I'm just joking. But create margins in your life, and please,
Jola-Grace
for those of us who are melancholic, who are perfectionists, who have the tendency for prim and proper, right? Realize that there's a difference between fantasies and the Fanta that you see, right? There's a difference.
Okay.
You can create a world. That's why there are cartoons, right? Sci-fi movies. Not every movie can be real, right? But there are also biopics, right? Your life can become a movie. And every best-selling movie has tragedy in it. So when the tragedy comes, it's just an ingredient in the panoply of your life. So harness it, don't let it destroy you.
Harness whatever it is you're now. Harness it. All right.
Okay, let me say that, whatever you may be passing through, this is the way I take it, whatever I'm going through, maybe it may just be that God is using it to build character and capacity I need for my next level. So that's the way I look at it. And then one other thing that helps me a lot is I don't desire to be the best. I don't want to carry first. Now, I don't even desire it. I don't look forward to carry first. Now only one person will carry first. And then we're a lot going for the same thing. So that means that because now that first position where everybody they look, we are watching out for a lot of people who are doing well. And every time it looks like I'm not achieving it, I'm getting depressed. So I told myself, see, make I take my lane. That lane, me I dey go that lane. Okay? So that nobody will come and tell you, see your mates. See, they are no longer my mates. They are not my mates.
Right.
I don't get mates, not me.
Mates,
So I would say, please leave yourself out of the competition. All right, have the vision, have the purpose, and move according to that purpose and the will of God for your life. Thank you very much.
Right. I'm going to borrow 1 minute, just 1 minute. Can we all close our eyes? Close a little bit of meditation quickly. If you're writing, stop writing. Put your hand on your lap, relax it. Relax it. Ensure to relax the nerves in your face, your eye, your eyelid, relax them, your shoulder, relax those nerves. The ones in your thigh, relax them. Relax them. And then picture certain situation in your life that could have embarrassed you and how you have sworn through and where you are right now. The fact that you're not dead. And in your mind, say to yourself, I am thankful to God. And then this is what you're going to do, just in a whisper. Say your name. I will be kind to you. Mention your name and say, I will be kind to you. Say your name again and say, I will be compassionate to you. And say your name again and say, I will breathe. Now, breathe in and breathe out through your mouth. Breathe in. Let your tummy expand and breathe out through your mouth. One more time. Breathe in. And this is where we will say, open your eyes, and this is where you say, I am breathing. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. What it just means is that you're ready to give life another go, and you're not going to give up. All right? Okay, great. Thank you very much.
A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Exhale.
We can do better than that. Can we give them a standing ovation? Thank you so much.
Reinvent to excel.
Thank you so much, Lady Gwen. Thank you, Papiwe.
Become.
Thank you, Pastor Adejumo. Thank you, boss.
Reinvent to excel.
Your head is correct.
Heal. Exhale. Become.
Ushio. Take it up, take it up. Like saying Namono. Namono. Don't be like this, we'll record this song. Che, che, che. You know go pain also. Them know us before. You don't better pass you before. Sugar. They let the sweetie sugar. Honey, honey, honey.